Mayor of Limerick, public representatives, members of governing authority, distinguished guests, parents, friends, students and colleagues. I'm delighted to welcome you all here this afternoon for the 4th annual President's Volunteer Awards ceremony. I'd particularly like to join in welcoming our guest speaker, Niamh O'Carroll. Niamh is a UL graduate and a successful social entrepreneur. Back in 2009, Niamh received the University of Limerick Alumni Award when she was honoured for her outstanding contribution to society and humanitarian causes. We're delighted to see you back here with us today, Niamh, and thank you for being here. You're very welcome. I'm also delighted to see so many representatives from public, community, charitable and voluntary organisations here, many of whom have worked closely with the University on community projects and research, and of course with our student volunteers. Thank you for your support and thank you for being here with us today. These awards are a wonderful opportunity to recognise the contributions our students are making locally, regionally, nationally and internationally. During this academic year, UL students contributed over 11,000 hours of their time to volunteering work. And since the establishment of this award scheme in 2010, over 35,000 volunteer hours have been documented, and student volunteering continues to be the largest civic engagement activity on this campus. This year, the number of PVA recipients has again increased, as has the volume of volunteering activity. And I'm delighted to say that this year, Access students, undergraduate, postgraduate, international, Erasmus and study abroad students are all represented in our 155 2014 PVA recipients. I do have to tell you that I'm not from Kilkenny. I'm from Cork, where we all really love Kilkenny people. But at least she's wearing red, which I suppose. I want to share something with you. As you know, this year Limerick City enjoyed the title of City of Culture 2014, and I'm delighted to tell you that UL students played a significant part in the success of Limerick City of Culture events. And Kate McDonough, who's the City of Culture Volunteer Programme Manager, has sent us the following statement, which she has asked me to read out at today's events, and I quote from Kate. I'd like to thank the University of Limerick students for their enthusiastic involvement with Limerick City of Culture events this year. UL students have made up 13.5% of the total registered volunteers. This contribution has been vital to the success of various major events. UL students have been consistent and reliable, and we are really grateful to have met them and to have had their support. We hope that they had rewarding, fun experiences and that they will continue to volunteer with local cultural events. End of message. I want to thank Kate for going to the trouble of sending in that message. I'm also proud to say that UL students have been making contributions to UL, the community and society, for many years, through activities with clubs and societies and off-campus in disadvantaged communities, raising funds for international causes and much more. And many students have continued with their good work following graduation, with some being formally recognised by UL at the annual Alumni Awards, of which I've already said that our guest speaker, Niamh, here is a shining example. So I would like to encourage all students on campus to continue to get involved in volunteering. And this week in particular, there's a lot of information available on how to do so, as part of week 6 of the first 7 weeks programme, a week entitled Civic Engagement and Volunteering Awareness Week. Now, while volunteering is an important part of achieving the goals of the university, and we hope of immense benefit to the organisations involved, its benefits are not all one-sided. Volunteering will contribute positively to our students' personal development, as well as offering them the opportunity to grow further skills that, along with their academic achievements, will make them not only attractive employees, but also better citizens. Skills such as team building, communication, political insight, and collaborative problem solving. This university, I hope you know, was recently named Sunday Times University of the Year, and one of the reasons we won was for graduate employability. The award also reflects our dedication to the student experience, our industry-relevant, award-winning research, and our deep community of engagement, of which the President's Volunteer Award Scheme is a strong example. My old friend Winston Churchill once said, and I quote, he wasn't from Kilkenny either, by the way, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." To participate in a programme such as the PVA takes great commitment, and given the deadlines, essays, exams and projects that our UL students are faced with each semester, this level of commitment is truly admirable. To our recipients here today, you are to be commended for sharing your free time in this way. The University of Limerick is very proud to have you as students. You exemplify the true spirit of this institution, and I am delighted, truly delighted, to be awarding you with the President's Volunteer Award here today. The President's Volunteer Award Programme is coordinated from the Community Liaison Office in the Student Affairs Division. To date, this office has engaged with over 220 volunteer organisations, and I'm delighted to announce today a new overseas President's Volunteer Award that has been developed in collaboration with the Community Liaison Office and COLOV, a national organisation whose mission is to foster good practice and critical engagement in volunteering and action for development. And today, I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank the Community Liaison Officer, Gabriella Hanrahan, for all her work in this regard. Thank you, Gabriella. She does a great job. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. Born in Limerick, Niamh O'Carroll has been interested in issues of social justice since her school days in the Salesians and the Crescent. Throughout her 4 years at UL, she worked with traveller children who were living on the roadside nearby, and her final year project was focused on education for traveller children. Following her graduation with a BA in European Studies in 1989, she completed postgraduate studies in public relations at DIT. Through a project dealing with the homeless, which Niamh organised while she was at college, she realised the power of media in highlighting issues of social justice. Her first job was with the Jesuit Communications Centre in Limerick. She then spent a year as a volunteer working with Guatemalan refugees in Mexico, and on her return to Ireland, she joined Trócaire. Under her leadership, the communications and fundraising functions of Trócaire won 2 national awards for excellence in PR. Then in 2002, Niamh set up her own strategic communications agency, specialising in supporting organisations who are working to change society. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Niamh back to UL today and to introduce her to you as our very special guest speaker. Please give a very warm welcome to Niamh O'Carroll.
Thank you very much, President. Good afternoon, everybody. Firstly, I'm really proud and honoured and very grateful to be invited here to talk to you all at the University of Limerick's President's Volunteer Award. I'm also a bit awed, I'm kind of full of nostalgia. It's 25 years since I graduated from here. It only seems like the other day. And I suppose I want to let you know that I'm no different from any of you here. I've had a look at what everybody's been doing and I'm extremely impressed. This is a great day for the students, the awardees here. And as Don mentioned, not only are you now part of the university, recently named Best University in Ireland, you all have an edge over other graduates here, as well as the academic experience, the fine academic experience you'll have here you will also have the volunteer experience. So why am I here? I've been asked to tell you about my experience of volunteering, which began with my home, my family background and my school. It was very much solidified here at UL, and then I suppose has informed my entire career and also how my family live our lives. I suppose the words of Edmund Burke sum up my volunteer journey. No man made a greater mistake than he who did nothing because he could only do a little. My interest in social justice began at home. My mum was involved in the start-up of Adapt House, which is a refuge for domestic violence, and always when we were in school my mum was involved in a huge range of things. My dad was in the Vincent de Paul, and now while retired has given, I would say, thousands of hours of volunteerism to a diverse range of things in Limerick. I noted some of the volunteers were from Camillus, and that was my first experience of volunteerism. I was in the Crescent, I was in first year, and myself and another girl, Nicole Wallace, were asked one day by one of the Jesuits, would we go and visit this lady, Kathleen, who was in Camillus. And we felt we were specially chosen because of some characteristic he saw in us. When I look now geographically, we were the closest girls in the Crescent to Camillus. But anyway, that's how we started. And I suppose with Kathleen, who had had a very difficult life and had been in institutional care all her life, I really realised that for some people, you know, life isn't fair and life is very difficult. I stayed visiting Kathleen, and my mother kind of kept on the baton when I went up to work in Dublin. And I mean, I would have felt very close to her on the morning of my wedding. We went up to Camillus before we went to the church. So Kathleen, I suppose, taught me a lot about, you know, how much I got an awful lot from being in a great relationship with her and learning more about her life. I loved UL. I really enjoyed my time here. Looking back, it was just an amazing experience. I enjoyed European Studies. I did the social research option. I was particularly impressed by Brian Keary. I loved the sociology lectures. I remember saying to him once, I was on my second co-op in the States and I came home full of America's the land of opportunity. And he said to me, yes indeed, as long as you're white, middle class and educated. Something which I realised is very, very true. And then I suppose in UL, myself and Jerry Gibbons, who did European Studies with me, we worked with traveller children who were living at the roadside near the Parkway Shopping Centre. And we used to go down maybe once or twice a week and help with schoolwork. And we got to know them really well. We attended their weddings, we babysat. And then I suppose, just to say, the volunteerism then informed my co-op. My co-op was, I got a job in the Department of Health. And because I had the experience with travellers and I was very comfortable going in and out of the sites, I was able then to work with on a project which was evaluating a mobile health service for travellers. And then my final thesis was on the education of traveller children. Post-UL, as Dawn mentioned, I went to the Rathmines College of Commerce, DIT, and I did a college-wide project there on homelessness. And I suppose that was my eureka moment. I actually remember being on a bus going by Trinity. I was living in Glasnevin at the time and going across the front of Trinity and just saying to myself, I know what I want to do. I want to work in media. I love media. And I also want to bring all that I've learned from the people I've met through volunteerism with me. I was very lucky when I was graduating. The Jesuits were setting up a communication centre, and I got a great opportunity to work with a whole lot of different Jesuits there, including people like Peter McVerry in highlighting issues of social justice. And while there, I became aware of Jesuit Refugee Service and got to work then as an international observer with Guatemalan refugees in Mexico, looking at ways of getting funding for different projects to help improve their lives and we were international volunteers. They were pretty much people who were lost. They were on the Mexican border. They'd been there for a long time. They were trying to return back to Guatemala. The Mexicans didn't want them. The Guatemalans didn't want them to come back, and it was very dangerous. So they used to feel if you were there, fair-skinned, fair-haired, you know, literally you were there as a security for them. When I came back from that period of time, Trócaire, I was approached by Trócaire and I went and worked there, starting up as their press officer. And that was just a very privileged time for me. I got to go to a whole lot of different places. I was in Rwanda, in Burundi, in El Salvador, Nicaragua. I would spend a lot of time bringing teams of photographers and journalists over to try and bring back the news of what Trócaire were trying to do in these countries and why it was really relevant and get real strong Irish engagement. Troca were the first agency to gain access into North Korea, which is still a hugely closed society, as you know. And it was great to have connections back in Ireland, and we managed to make the North Korean famine a front page story in Irish national media here. I'm probably also one of the very few Irish people who's appeared on national television in North Korea, but that's probably a story for another day. And during all that time, my mind was very much opened by the incredible people that I met and the different ideas. In Troca then I was tasked with getting involved more in fundraising and managing how we could raise money for this, and that's where I got really interested in the whole idea of social innovation, trying to think of things beyond traditional fundraising. Probably the thing I'm most proud of in my career is the Troca Global Gift, and that was a new fundraising idea which I would have instigated there, and it's raised, now there's a lot of people have been involved in it over the years since, but it's raised about 30 million for Troca, and it's been copied both nationally and internationally. And I suppose with that it was in returning, when you see how people respond to personal stories, I mean, getting your head around statistics are very hard, but if you sit down with somebody and talk to them about an individual woman you met or an individual child you met somewhere, and people get very engaged in that level. And the Global Gift Project was all about bringing that knowledge to people. My life then kind of changed. I got married to Paul. I have 3 children now. One of them, Tara, my daughter, has just started secondary school, and I brought her here with me today. I'm super proud of her. You know, she's there 6 weeks, and she's already put herself forward and has been elected to the school council for her class, and she's also got involved in a group called Mission Possible, a social justice group. So I really hope that the spirit of volunteerism that I learned from at home, that I'll be able to communicate that to my own children. And where has volunteerism led me, I suppose? In my career, I've been running a successful communications business for the past 11 years. For many years, I worked only with charities. Now I work with a mixture of charities and business. Part of that is the recession. Part of that is, you know, I suppose things that I've learned in life. A lot of people would say to me, oh, you know, you're really lucky you get to do all this good work because you're in a charity. But charities have an awful lot to learn from business, as business have an awful lot to learn from charities. I've been lucky to work with like the Office of the Children's Ombudsman, with Women's Aid, the Mater Hospital, St Vincent de Paul, the Irish Hospice Foundation, Immigrant Council, all kinds of wide range of different organisations. And all of these organisations are specialist organisations who are working to create a more just society and to get their message out to very relevant target audiences for them, including politicians, media or the general public. And then I suppose I've had amazing opportunities with business. I worked with Vodafone. I think you can really do as much good if you end up in the business environment as you do in a non-for-profit environment. I'd encourage you to have a look at the World of Difference programme that Vodafone are running. When I got involved in them, we looked at, there was this very similar project in New Zealand, and myself and a team of people there brought that home to Ireland, and it's an amazing project, and I've met some amazing people through it. It's people who have, you know, maybe in a few years' time with a bit of work experience, and you have this burning ambition to do something specific, but you'd say, well, I can't give up a year. Very few people can. Vodafone pay people up to 40,000 for a year. They pay 4 people every year to come up with some great idea. And there's been amazing. Kamara, the computer recycling, one of the young guys who was in there as a volunteer, helping to recycle the computers to send them out to Africa. He thought, God, wouldn't these be much better going out if they had a lot of information on them? Perhaps there could be courses that would be useful in school. And he approached Vodafone with that idea, and he was paid then for a year to do that. So like, there's great opportunities out there. I'm working with DFS, the social retailers, and now, you know, you work with them in a commercial PR sense, but you can say to them, well, look, you know, if you want to launch something in Cork, for example, they're going to make over the whole, in the hospital there, they're going to make over the whole family room. That's a much better way of doing a launch than doing celebrities out in the front porch. So we're looking at all these kind of new ideas. So just to say to everybody, like, your volunteerism, now that you've been involved, you can pick it up and you can bring it, what you've learned, into business. You're just a much more rounded person coming into your career. Outside of work, I volunteer with the SOAR Foundation, which is an amazing organisation that works with young people in emotional well-being. I work with the Women's Fund for Ireland. I'm also on the board of Belvedere College. And you know, I've had years where I haven't been volunteering. My kids have been small. It's been difficult. So it's a life skill. Dip in, dip out. So going back to the start, why do I think volunteerism is really important? Well, I think everyone here who's an award winner today knows. I see all the things you're doing, from student union involvement, buddy organisations, disability groups, Olympics, Special Olympics, involvement with the cultural groups in town, the sports groups, and then ultimate frisbee, which I only learned at lunchtime today wasn't called extreme frisbee. All of these things bring energy and passion to your lives, and they'll stay with you. It'll keep you connected with people, with like-minded people. It'll help you make friends. It'll give you an edge at job interviews. The list is endless. I think volunteerism will hopefully give you a different life view, and it'll in turn enable you to be part of a better society, maybe than the one that's been handed down to you by people like me and your parents. I think a profound moment in my life was when I was here in UL, and when a woman called Anne Riley, who was a young traveller woman who was actually the same age as me at the time, and I was working with her younger sister on her homework, and she was going out somewhere, and I just said, "You look great." And she said, "You know, sometimes I look in the mirror actually and I do feel great, but always without fail that day someone will say something to me, and I know they're judging me as a traveller." And I just remember how awful I felt for her that day, because I think we've all felt outsiders in different groups, but to know that you'll be an outsider wherever you go, no matter what, is very, very difficult. And in the media recently, there's been a few pieces on this expression, othering. And I suppose by othering I mean a kind of any action which a group of people or an individual does, which mentally classifies in somebody else's mind, they're not one of us. And it's about not remembering that every person is a complex bundle of emotions, ideas, motivations, priorities, and many other subtle aspects. And it's sometimes easier to dismiss people and say they're, you know, in some way less human and less worthy of respect and dignity than we are. And I'm hoping that's a real hangover from Ireland in the past, the sense that some people aren't quite as good as others and therefore not entitled to the same rights as the rest of us. I think, you know, over the past few years, the work of people like Owen O'Sullivan, who was a former lecturer of mine here, he worked with Mary Raftery and all the industrial schools and that area, mental health, and also Owen Devereux, who's still a lecturer here, the work he's done in immigrants. I was really lucky in college to have all those influences. I think othering can extend to a wide range of groups of people in society: gay people, people with disabilities, immigrants, people living in direct provision, people parenting alone, older people, women. But through volunteerism, I've been privileged to meet people like Kathleen, who I mentioned to you at the start, Anne Riley and her family, and then hundreds of other people through my work with Trócaire, through World of Difference, through SOAR now, the Women's Fund for Ireland. And I suppose especially with the Guatemalan refugees, because I lived with them for a year and I got to know them really well. And they just wanted the same things that all of us want, you know, a decent education, a happy life, irrespective of the fact that they were living in really extreme poverty and didn't know where their homes were. And I want to say to you and to your parents, I really feel volunteerism, it's an antidote to othering in many ways. It opens our eyes and ears to the injustice of the world. And you as a group here will be able to carry the baton forward and help create the kind of Ireland and world that is a better place for every citizen to live in. So be proud of yourselves and go out into the world knowing that all the little things UL students do will, in a combined manner, make a great difference to Ireland and to the world. Thank you very much.
The International Office understand the challenges that an international student faces when they move to a new country, be it language barrier, cultural adjustment, a new academic environment, making friends, even simple things that we take for granted like finding accommodation, understanding the public transport, opening a bank account. Easy things for us, but can be very difficult and very challenging for an international student. The Student Support Officer and the PVA Liaison Officer, Gabriella Hanrahan, and I developed the International Buddy Programme, which includes a President's Volunteer Award opportunity for all Irish volunteers. This year, over 205 Irish volunteers have volunteered for the Buddy Programme. They email the students 4 weeks before they leave their country. They answer any queries and questions that they have. They meet with them. Some students have gone above and beyond and even met their students out at Shannon Airport, which is above and beyond the call of duty, but it has been done.
I didn't think of coming to UL and getting involved in volunteering. It just happened. I fell into it and it was the best decision that I ever did. The on-campus volunteering opportunities I had was within the University of Limerick Students' Union, where I played an active role with the class rep system and the student council system. I also took part in the International Education Division Buddy Programme, in which you're a mentor for incoming international students, and I was extremely involved with the UL International Society. I've made friends from all over the world. I've made friends that we regularly keep in contact with, and have already gone over and visit them in the States. I was lucky enough last year to go couch surfing with students that had studied here last year, and they're now friends for life. At the end of the day, I didn't even see it as volunteering at times. I saw it as a way to hang out with my friends and to help others along the way. I absolutely loved every moment of the International Society.
The international students that come to UL are so grateful to have a buddy programme. For them to have one Irish student to contact prior to leaving their home country, that makes the programme for them alone.
Having the President's Volunteer Awards on my transcript is a door opener for employers. When I had my interviews for co-op and when I had my interviews for jobs after college, it was something people focused on. It was something on your transcript other than grades, and immediately it makes you different. It gives you a bit of an edge and employers automatically ask questions about it.
The feedback we receive from students is that the Buddy Programme is one of the most successful programmes that we have here in the International Office.
we're Franciscan friars living here in Moyross, and we came in 2007. And our community, we're Franciscans, so we typically live and work in poor areas or areas noted for crime or poverty, maybe drugs. And the typical apostolates we'd have are, work in homeless shelters or soup kitchens. And we do a lot of youth work as well. So when we moved in here in 2007, one of the most obvious needs here was for the kids, the young people. So our club here, the John Paul II Youth Club, really is to create a safe place for the kids to come after school. They can play with their fellow peers, they can play soccer, they can do arts and crafts. And then as Catholic religious brothers, really ultimately we're trying to bring them deeper in their Catholic faith. Another thing that we wanted to do is help the kids with homework. A lot of them really struggle with their work at school, so to give them some time to work on the homework, and so it's been invaluable to have the UL volunteers helping us.
With the Friary of Moyross, I was going into my third year, and I was thinking, I'm going to third year now, I really need to start thinking about what I'm going to be doing after college. So I was looking at volunteering, it seemed like a really good option. I thought, what's the most interesting looking thing? And I saw this, and I thought the Brothers of Moyross, the Monks of Moyross, looks very interesting. I came here just out of curiosity, ended up really fitting in, and it was a fantastic experience. Moyross is a little bit of distance from Castletroy, but I decided to cycle here. It's a little bit of distance, but it ended up being worthwhile. The commute just became part of it. Every Tuesday getting the bike, it's just a ritual, like something I had to do. The best part for me was the bond you formed with the students here. Seeing them every week and you're seeing their developments in school, gradually getting better and helping with their homework. They're gradually getting better in school, and just asking about college and stuff, and you're seeing that the progress has been made. It's very, very rewarding to see that kind of thing. It's fantastic.
Having the UL volunteers with us has been a great blessing for us. It's allowed us to think a little bigger, and so this ongoing relationship with the volunteer program has helped us to kind of look for new ideas. So each year we know we're going to have some volunteers so we can think of new ideas. And so this year we're hoping to expand the Homework Help Club, and which we wouldn't be able to do without volunteers.
As a result of doing the volunteering here, and unexpectedly ended up landing a job in Spain. I was working over there for the summer. It ended up being a really great experience as well that I got off the back of doing the volunteering here. So there can be a lot of unexpected benefits of it, and also an additional things that I ended up doing my FYP. I'm doing it now, and I'm kind of basing it on my experiences here, and the first-hand experiences that I've had here are kind of the basis of what I'm writing on.
We're usually seen as, it's Moyross, people kind of don't come here. But seeing the UL students come here, it's really helpful, and they just give so much to the kids, and they just give their time and their love to them, and you can really see the change that happens with these kids just by the UL students giving their time.
You Will Give is a student-founded, student-run charity organization through the medical school here at Limerick. So we have three key elements. We have the African element in Tanzania, we have the local element here at the university and at Limerick, and we also have the fundraising element.
You Will Give sent 17 students this year to Tanzania. We went to 3 separate hospital sites throughout the country. I was at a hospital called Kolandoto, which is just outside of Shinyanga, which is kind of in the northwestern corner of Tanzania. The idea of going there was basically just to gain an idea of how their healthcare system works and how they make do with just the bare essentials of all, whether that be in staffing levels or the equipment that they have or the treatments that they have open to them. You basically go there after 1 year of clinical experience in your 3rd year, and you think you might have a good grasp on your clinical skills and possibly any sort of clinical acumen. You don't. And you are forced into looking at these patients who you don't speak the language, so everything that you're guided by is from your clinical examination techniques. And you see illnesses that are so far past what you would see here. You see spleens that are down in places that they shouldn't be. You see livers, again, places that they shouldn't be. Massive ulcers. A lot of the people there would go to their sort of faith healer before they went to an actual sort of hospital. The vast majority of times that doesn't work, and they end up at the hospital with something so far gone that the treatment options that are there and available are not ideal.
So the second element to You Will Give is what we do here locally, both in town, around part of Ireland, and right here on campus. So we organize events that are completely student-run, both medical students and non-medical students. Any money that we raise, whether it's blood pressure clinic, grocery bagging, trivia nights here at the pavilion on campus, we take all that money and we will donate it towards the projects at the hospitals. We're also completely self-sufficient, so we don't rely on any money other than donations, and we don't give money back to any organization other than the hospitals in Tanzania.
The big things that I would be taking away from my travels would be basically just an appreciation for everything that you have here. You know, you can leave the safe world of the University Hospital Limerick and all their tests and CT machines and MRIs, and you go to a hospital that barely has enough reagent to do simple malaria tests, blood smears for that, or anything along those lines. And the advantages that you have in this healthcare system are just, and the money that gets put into it are just, it's just so much further advanced and further along. Yet in Tanzania, these doctors are working so hard to try and help and do their best with what they have. So I guess the big thing that I'm taking away from it is the motivation that these guys have behind it, and to try and embody that and take that into my future practice.
Myself and a friend of mine, Mick Kelleher, started the club about 4 years ago with 7 athletes. Since then we have grown and we now have over 110 athletes taking part between athletics, swimming and basketball. We use the UL campus on a Tuesday night for athletics. We have been given the facility free by Dave Mahidi from UL. We have some fantastic volunteers that have come on board with us. A lot of them have come from UL. Roisin being one of our main. She is now our coach for athletics, our head coach, and she has been fantastic bringing along other people as well with her.
I was always interested in helping athletes, and getting involved in Special Olympics was an area close to my heart. So I volunteered back 2 years ago now, and I've never looked back.
An awful lot more children are out there that need the facility of Special Olympics. So we need to get the name out there that we are here, we are available to take on more athletes, but in turn we need more volunteers. We have to have a specific ratio of volunteers to athletes, and there is kids crying out for something like this, to use this facility, and when we have it on our doorstep we need to expand it, and we hope to keep expanding the club over the next few years.
It's really rewarding on a personal level because you get to see the athletes improve over the time, and just to see their growth personally, and to see how they improve in their chosen events and in their chosen sports. It's nice to be able to see that without your help they wouldn't be able to improve, and they wouldn't have this outlet to take part in.
We would hope that the club will continue to grow, and we would like to open it up to even more athletes and to, across the board, and get more activities, possibly take on golf. We're looking at kayaking, other activities, but we also need more and more volunteers that will help out in all of these. We also do a lot of fundraising because we need to get new gear for all the athletes, so we need people that will take part in running fundraising for us and help us out.
So it's great to get involved in volunteering because it's a lifelong experience you get to have, and it's just something you can get involved in day to day. It doesn't take much time. Just 2 hours a week is all I do with the swimming and athletics here at the Special Olympics, and it's just really rewarding, and it's worth doing if you've got any time to spare, or if you're very interested in any form of volunteering at all. It's definitely worth doing.
When you see all the athletes having such fun, because at the end of the day that's all we want them to do, is to have fun, and the amount of satisfaction you as a volunteer would get from working with the athletes, see them coming running into us every Tuesday night, so happy to be with us, and sad when they're going away, that their night is over, and really looking forward to the following Tuesday night again, that the amount of satisfaction one gets from that is just unbelievable.
It's great to get the recognition from the President for the volunteering opportunities that the students get involved in here on campus.
Can I just start by saying that whenever I'm talking, particularly off campus, I keep going on about the fantastic students that we have here at UL. And today's ceremony really makes me feel privileged to be the president of a university that has students like these who are doing such fabulous, fabulous work. And I'd like you all to give all of them a round. Now it's time to present the Outstanding Achievement Award, and the purpose of the Outstanding Achievement Award is to recognise students who have made an exceptional contribution to the community through volunteering. Recipients are selected based on their own reflective portfolio. I want to thank at this point the working group for the time and commitment involved in evaluating each application thoroughly and independently, and then selecting the recipients of the Outstanding Achievement Award. This year, the working group is of the view that 2 students stood out in terms of their commitment to volunteering, and so today I want to especially honour Triana O'Sullivan and David Tierney. And it now gives me great pleasure to ask UL's Civic Engagement Champion, Bernie Quillinan, to give us an insight into their work. Bernie.
Thank you. Our first 2004 outstanding recipient is Trina O'Sullivan. Trina is from Muscarbery, County Cork, and came to UL 4 years ago to study Business and Human Resource Management. She graduated from Chemie Business School this year with an honours degree in Business Study and Human Resource Management. The President's Volunteer Award was launched the same year Trina entered UL, and Trina's UL's experience over the past 4 years mirrors the PVA vision, that is, to sustain and foster a culture of volunteering, active citizenship and civic engagement amongst our student population. Trina has an impressive volunteer profile which includes Clonakilty Macra Ferma, I could do that, UL Students' Union and the International Society on campus. What caught the attention of the PVA committee is that while Trina contributed greatly to the development of the International Society here on campus, she also contributed to her own personal development. The aim of the student-led International Society is the integration of international students into campus life at UL and life in Ireland in general. You saw her earlier on one of our videos. In this past year, the student-led International Society, under Trina's presidency, swept the Students' Union Wolves Clubs and Societies Awards, winning Best Event, Best Society and Best Society Individual. Trina also won Best Society Individual at the 2014 Board of Irish College Society Awards. Through her involvement with the Society over the past 4 years, Trina has enhanced her leadership, management, presentation and communication skills as well as her intercultural awareness. Trina's volunteerism has greatly influenced her career choices, and she is now considering building her career in the international relations market. Her legacy to UL is a very strong, vibrant and popular international society. We have no doubt that Trina has a very successful career ahead. I now call on Trina to accept from the President her outstanding President's Volunteer Award. Our second 2014 outstanding recipient is David Tierney. David is from Limerick and is a graduate of both Mary Immaculate College and University of Limerick. David graduated with a BA in Psychology and English Literature from Mary Immaculate College and graduated from UL with a first-class master's degree in Technical Communication and e-learning. David is currently studying for his PhD in Psychology here at UL. David receives his outstanding PVA for his innovative and creative contribution to the development of the student-led psychology and literary societies here at UL. The main purpose of the Psychology Society is to promote the field of psychology, mental health and general well-being amongst the student population and wider society. The Literary Society promotes writing skills, performing skills and a love of the literature. David combined his interests in both to underline and facilitate the gathering, socialising and skills development of his fellow UL students. Through the use of online platforms such as WordPress, Twitter and Facebook, David promotes mental health initiatives, careers options, volunteering options, charity events and academic help and guidance. In addition, David's work involved organising on-campus events such as happiness boost talks and seminars with invited guest speakers. With the help of his society, David held creative writing workshops, themed table quizzes, creative writing competitions and visits to book festivals. All David's volunteer work is driven by his desire to promote his discipline, support the development of his fellow students and to create opportunities for friendship making here on campus. Although David is self-motivated by the desire to contribute to our renowned student experience, David is conscious of the very many skills he has gained from his volunteering work. David notes his presentations, interacting with his fellow students, and performances helped his body language and public speaking skills and writing skills. David also notes that student-led volunteering opportunities triggered his creative initiative, which he had not experienced in his previous volunteering work. We are glad David will be with us for another couple of years and wish him well with his academic endeavours and volunteering here on campus. I now call on David to accept from the President his Outstanding President's Volunteer Award. Okay, things are drawing to a close, and this bit says I can say anything I like, which you'll be glad to know I won't keep you too long. Just a few thank yous. First, I just want to thank the family and friends who came here today to support the people who received the awards. You had some role to play in that. The characteristics that make people volunteer were influenced by you. So well done to the parents and relatives and brothers and sisters and to all of you here today. Secondly, I want to echo Professor Don Barry's vote of thanks to the organisations and groups, both voluntary and statutory, that provide such wonderful experiences for our students. They don't fall out of the sky, the planning that goes into them, to make them not just informative, but enjoyable. There is work that goes on behind the scenes to that. So on behalf of the University of Limerick, thank you very much for your support. Again, the President has thanked the Access Office here and Gabriella Hanrahan, the Community Liaison Officer, for her work behind the scenes. And I just want to also add my vote of thanks to Gabriella, who is out there in the wings somewhere, but works tirelessly with community and students alike to make sure that the students get a good experience and the societies and groups that they work for also have benefits and gains from our student population going out into the community. So thank you, Gabriella, and your colleagues for all of the great work. Come out and take a bow to people see you. Come on. She's in the background. Come on, come out and take a bow. No, she's no show. To Sarah and Garode for being hosts for this afternoon. I think they did a wonderful job, and I will be supporting for the Eurovision. They are glamorous enough. Thank you. Well done to Mairead for signing, and she sounds as good as a lot of people in the Eurovision, so well done. Finally, again, I want to echo others when I thank the student population for engaging in the social good of our communities. I've heard such stories and listened to your videos, and all that do work to promote health and well-being with underserved and disadvantaged members in our society. From my perspective, I hope you will look back in decades to come, because some of those experiences really have enriched me. It's when I am up against mastering some of life's challenges and intricate communications with people that I draw on my volunteering experiences from 30 years ago, and they still have taught me lessons I've carried with me throughout my life. So as you go forward, maybe not today, but in years to come, you will continue to value those experiences and learn the skills that you cannot gain in a classroom setting. And whether you do the work as volunteers or part of credited learning, it's equally valued by the university and is a core aspect of its mission. So well done, and thank you all.